Hi. I'm gonna wait to start talking until more people come in. It's okay. Hold on, I gotta pay my parking ticket. Hi. Good. Thank you. Okay, so to answer my question that I asked, why do people go on the internet? Why do people put their lives on the internet or make friends on the internet or go to the internet for answers? And I think the reason is because it's pretty obvious. You can't find it in real life. You can't make friends in real life. You can't relate to people or find the answers you're looking for or be open in IRL. So it's if you go online, you're gonna be able to basically find people who share your opinions, unless you're like Kyle or something and no one shares your opinions. Share your interests, your opinions, your beliefs, no matter how fringe and how socially unacceptable your ideas are. Or perhaps you are like thirsting for conversation, and the people that you have in your life, whether it's at your job or at home, in your family, at your school, are just not like able to give you the intellectual stimulation that you're looking for. I know that's what Bab said. Like he needs a lot of intellectual stimulation all the time. I'm kind of like that too, and I'm not gonna start talking to people at work, you know. And I have friends, I'm not like, luckily, I know a lot of people that this is like their only uh, social outlet in general. It's not that way for me. Luckily, I do have friends, I do have family that I can talk to about these things pretty openly. I can pretty much talk to them about whatever I want. But maybe it's not so much like me that, like, I kind of feel like sometimes the people that like are going on YouTube or whatever and spouting their opinions are usually like, I mean, I don't want anyone to get offended, but it's a lot of time it's more interesting than what people that you know say. I don't know why that is. It's like, and I don't want to say like, my friends are boring or my family's boring, but sometimes I feel that way. Like this is kind of bad, but I went on vacation like a month ago with my family, and we were all staying in a house together for like a week. And by the end of it, I was just like, guys, like I'm ready to go. Like this, I feel like we ran out of things to talk about, or I just like it wasn't cutting it. Like I just wanted to like read my book, like hear what the guy who wrote the book had to say. Like, does that make me like a horrible elitist? Or am I just like, it's like once you have that, like you can't like go back to like these like milquetoast mediocre ideas or whatever. I don't know. It's like before like the printing press was invented, people were people bored, or were they maybe more satisfied, you know? Because it's not just necessarily limited to the internet. I mean, you can get a lot of these ideas by reading books or articles or whatever. It's not necessarily unique to that, and I do feel like it's you're able to read like these brilliant minds that are probably more interesting than the people you meet um, in real life. And whoever, if anyone who knows me in real life is watching this, they're probably gonna be really mad. But I'm just trying to be honest. I'm just trying to be honest. Do you guys agree? I don't know. The other thing, like, I know when like 5 years ago or like 4 years ago, whatever, when I first started my YouTube channel, I did start it because I was like, I I was feeling very like, and it's not so this way so much anymore. And I think I honestly like exaggerated a little bit. Like, I thought that I was, couldn't say what was on my mind to people in my life. They would like think I was nuts. Um, but I got over that, and I did say what was on my mind. And luckily, I didn't really have that that happen to me. But I know other people, like my husband, for example, he lost a lot of friends, and his family, like his parents, kind of think that he's a little bit like nutty with his like political ideas, and it sucks. And I'm lucky that I had like an easier time for whatever reason. Um, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people are, like socially castigated. Like that's what Luke Ford will say. Like, oh, people that watch my channel are like, I don't know. I think I haven't heard him say it in a while. I think he was kind of screwing with people a little bit, but this is like a channel for like social rejects or whatever. And, like some people, that the House hearing. I don't know. I saw this in it was a clip from something. There was some black guy saying, I think, yeah, it was the House hearing on white nationalism, and he was saying, there's some guys that are in their basements, and they don't like their station in life, so they think they can just say whatever they want, and they can't. And I don't know, like it is. And I don't want to say I don't feel like a marginalized person or anything. Like I know Luke loves to say, "Oh, we're all like marginalized," and I think he's projecting. I think he feels marginalized, but I know a lot of the people. Like I know you guys now. I know a lot. You guys are mostly pretty normal. Like someone like Norvin, yeah, he's pretty marginalized. He's a fringe figure. Kyle likes to brag about how he's into all these like fringe political circles, and it's extreme, man, and like look at me, I'm so extreme. But like I don't know, I was never trying to be extreme or marginalized, or and I don't feel like I'm marginalized. Like I had to ask someone the other day because someone did once leave a comment on one of my videos saying that they thought I had mild autism. And I don't think I have mild autism. I don't think I'm autistic at all. I'm actually pretty socially aware and socially um, good. Like I can make friends. I was never made fun of. I could hang out with like the popular kids. Not that I really wanted to, but it was not like difficult for me. So I don't think that I'm autistic. If you guys think I'm autistic, let me know. But I don't think that I am. No, I don't even remember. I totally lost my train of thought with what I was saying. What are you guys saying? Let's see. I can only look at this occasionally because I'm driving. You were in Weibo's stream last night. Marginalized peeps. It's like a hobby to some. Yeah, it is a hobby. It's like a way to pass the time, and I don't know. It's being marginalized is more of a manly thing, which makes sense evolutionarily. I guess that's why some people think I'm autistic, because I guess it's not womanly to have marginalized ideas. I don't think so, though. I think I just like wanted things to be logical, and then when they weren't, I was like, what the heck is going on? Is that so crazy? Why does that have to be like a marginalized thing? Like just to try to be be logical or like follow like logical facts to their conclusions. And the thing is, I actually have learned, you guys probably know this too, in the past 4 years, actually it's really hit home maybe in the past couple of years, that most people, yeah, they're not driven by reason and logic and facts don't care about your feelings or whatever. They are, most people, they're not, they're driven by feelings, mostly the need for comfort, or to fit in socially, or have a good job. Like we are, like we are creatures. Like why we don't have any incentive to be reasonable or logical, so why would we? Like that's probably like an aberration to actually be logical. Unfortunately, I mean, it's always it's kind of like made fun of in a way, like the like I feel like that's where the whole fedora meme comes from. It's like you're too being too logical, reasonable, and not emotional enough. I don't know. Marginalizing oneself is a mating strategy. Women don't need that. How is it a mating strategy though? Wouldn't it make you like less attractive to the mates? Never accept it when people call you autistic. As soon as you accepted the label, you get put on a list. I don't. I don't think I'm autistic at all. And I've asked multiple people, "Do you think I'm autistic?" And they all said no. Autistic people like don't understand social signals. And I think I can I pick up on social signals pretty easily. So, I guess like I just, and the thing is, I'm not like, oh, people say, women don't want to be marginalized because or like being the evolutionary thing, like women don't want to be cast out of the group because then if we were living in like cave times or whatever, they would die. And like I don't, that's true. Like I don't want to be cast out of the group, and I'm not. That's why I'm not shouting like quote unquote marginalized ideas from the rooftops. Like I think I'm pretty good at like with normies, like either um, trying to put things in a palatable way to them, or just not saying anything. Like I know exactly what I'm supposed to say and what I'm not supposed to say, and not that I would ever lie or fake, but there are a lot of times, especially like at work and things, where I'm just basically stay quiet, or like nod and smile. That's not hard to do. And I think that's the difference with autistic people, is they don't nod and smile. They'll say like whatever, like they don't have a filter. I think I do have a pretty good filter. I can't like be fake all the time, like who wants to be fake all the time? And I'm not really fake, to be honest. Even when I'm supposed to be like fake at work and stuff, I don't really do that very much. What else you guys say? Women are more likely to adhere to the supposed zeitgeist. Yes, they are, and it is because of social things. But are they like lying to themselves like privately then, or like what's the deal? Like they're so scared that they're gonna be found out that they don't agree with the zeitgeist, that they just somehow like trick themselves, because I don't think I could do that. But I will say that this is kind of interesting. I remember I was like reading about like the Civil War or something, or the Revolutionary War, or the French Revolution, or something like that. And I was like, wait, okay, so maybe like the South wasn't so bad, or like maybe the French revolutionaries were not so great, or maybe the American Revolution was even a mistake. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, wait a second, like I don't. And actually, this is funny. I think this was in the Moldbug thing where he said, like, these are opinions that you won't find anywhere but the fringiest of the fringe of the fringe publication. Right. It's it's a tiny, tiny segment of people that believe that, even if it's absolutely true, you know, even if it's absolutely true that um, the French Revolution was bad, any any ideas about any controversial historical events. That seems to be something that people hold people hold really dearly. Um, and yeah, it's like you don't want to have to think that the truth is like this unattainable fringe thing that you only find in on some little, you know, page on the internet. Like that doesn't give you a lot of hope. So maybe it's like more of an optimism thing. Could be that maybe people just don't even want to think about it at all, or they're not thinking about it at all, or they're not even capable of thinking outside of the Overton window. The more I try to like understand the way other people think, the more confused I really get, because it never makes sense. Like I don't know how people can like hold these opinions that like are really logically inconsistent. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you think of it in a way that we weren't evolved to be logical, we were evolved to seek comfort, then I guess that's the way it is. It's just kind of depressing. And then it's like at that point, well, like, what's the point in even arguing with people or trying to convince them? If people aren't driven by facts, then how can you change anyone's mind? But the thing is, some people do change their minds, obviously. Like I was one of them. Like what makes me different that I can change? Or like, I don't know. Oh, but anyway, the point I was getting about holding dissident views about historical events, like I was thinking like, oh, like what if I thought the South was like the good side in the Civil War? If the people around me or the people that I work with or my friends or whatever found out that I think that, like, they would think I was a horrible racist, like a horrible person, or like that I am crazy. So yeah, I guess that's what really. And I guess like I was like really kind of shook up about that for a little while, but it didn't last that long. And I think talking to other people helps. I think that's the reason people will go and try to make friends on the internet, just because it's, we are social, and it's nice to have people to talk things about. Critical thought is, let's see. Critical thought is no longer taught. Information is given to you, and to get ahead, you regurgitate it without questioning any of it. Yeah, that's actually true. We're not, we're not, at least like when I think, learning history in school was really, it wasn't, there was no like debate. It was like, this is the narrative you're taught. Slavery is bad. Slavery is the worst thing that happened. Civil rights are the best thing that's ever happened to mankind. Women's rights are the best thing that's ever happened. And we're like, we are, we're progressing into, I don't know what, but we're progressing, and this is great. And we have to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. And that's the way it is, and fall in line, and that's it. End of discussion. How dare anyone suggest that, maybe those people protesting civil rights may have had a point. No one would ever have dreamed of saying that in like middle school history class or high school history class. You know what? They don't even call it history anymore. They call it social studies, which is suspect. I don't really know what that means. Social studies, like we're studying how people were sociable or how people interacted. I guess in a way, they weren't teaching history, they were teaching social studies. Because history is, the study of what things happened in the past. And maybe social studies is more about people and how we're supposed to like interact with other people. I don't know. I think that's interesting because I never really thought that even thinking about that term social studies, but I think it is important. I don't know. Did you guys have that like I don't know if you guys went to public school, but I did, and it wasn't called history class until actually, you know what? I don't think we ever had history. That was only like if you were in like AP, advanced placement history, then it would be called that. But I don't think I ever took that. So Howard Zinn was eye-opening. You know what? Actually, what the frightening thing is, Howard Zinn is taught like that's the textbook that they use in a lot of history classes now. And there's actually a kid's version of the Howard Zinn book, a people's history. Anything with the word people's anything is like definitely suspect. But Howard Zinn, people don't even realize how I gotta merge my cars. People don't even realize how pervasive like the Howard Zinn worldview is. Like that is basically what the history that we were taught in schools. And what was I gonna say? the Actually, the interesting thing, the Columbus narrative, like the whole like Columbus was an evil murderer guy, like that actually comes from Howard Zinn. And actually, I think it was all made up. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that much about Columbus, but I think like the information that Howard Zinn presented about Columbus that's so ubiquitous that they've actually gotten rid of Columbus Day in a lot of places, um, was taken from some other guy who was accusing Columbus of doing all these terrible things. And there was actually even a trial, but I think he was found innocent. I mean, I don't know. I heard someone say that. I don't know. I haven't done the research myself, but sounds like I don't see why if Columbus was really so bad we would be like venerating him for so long. I mean, I think it's part of the narrative. But Columbus is really singled out, even more than any other historical figure that I can. Well, not more than like Hitler or something, but Columbus is a big bad man. I'm just gonna have to wait a second until I get to another stoplight to read you guys' chat messages. Should be in just a minute here. Right, okay. I'm coming up to this light. I'm gonna see what everyone's saying. Jews need to be kicked out of the education system. Columbus was a Jew. I don't think he was a Jew. And they write articles about how Columbus was a good Jew for opening up the New World of trade. That is not true. He was not a Jew. Not a Jew. He was like a Spanish Catholic, I'm pretty sure. If Columbus was a Jew, that's actually kind of cool. Then you could be like, oh, the Jews discovered America. I really don't think that he was. Sorry, I'm getting to the. I don't want to be unsafe and like crash and die, or even have a fender bender. That would be really bad. All right, let's see. Oh, the move to bringing cursive back. Actually, I was thinking about this the other day. Teaching I was wondering, I think at a lot of schools now, like elementary and middle schools, they use computers or iPads or whatever for everything. I mean, I don't know for sure, but and then it got me thinking like are they even going to teach kids how to like write with a pencil and paper? Like that could happen, guys. People may not even know how to like write with a pen and paper, which is frightening. And I could totally see that being the case, especially with some of the crappier schools. And cursive, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we should all know. No, ooh, it's an ambulance. It's actually interesting. Some of the I don't know if you guys know about like the charter school movement, but there was actually a push in the past like 10, 15 years for like these private or not private, they're public charter schools, but they're classical schools. So it's kind of like an old style like classical academy where they teach like Greek and Latin and um, they read like the classics and stuff. But I don't know. I kind of think those schools like well, one of the other things is a lot of oh crap, no, I wasn't supposed to go low. Sorry. Um, I know the ones that are where I live. There's one especially. They have there's a waiting list for this school. It's a classical charter school, and it's like 5,000 kids on the waiting list. And then it's like, well, this is like side by side with the public school system. So like, why the hell, like, why wouldn't they just make the public schools that? Because like that's what parents want by and large. Like, who wants to go to some like multicultural themed public school where it's like crappy and you don't read the classics? Like, I think the overwhelming number of parents do want like that that type of education for their kids, but of course, like the public school teachers and all these people are going to oppose it. The other thing, two things with the classical charter schools. The the school here was actually in the news like 3 years ago because there was some kindergartner who was like a little boy and he wanted to dress like a girl, and his mom insisted that he was like trans and that they needed to like teach anti-bullying or like they needed to teach the other kids. They basically wanted transgender propaganda for kindergartners, and they actually ended up like implementing that in this school where it's probably completely out of context. I would imagine a lot of the kids are like Christian or whatever, but like they have to like read them like some tranny propaganda book in the middle. Like how confusing is that? And like is there like you can you opt your kid out of that? Like it just strikes me as like ridiculously like political that you would just like insert that into this like classical school where you're reading Aesop's fables and whatever. And then all of a sudden let's read this like modern tranny propaganda book. That's gonna fit in really well. Another thing with those schools, there was one, I think it was in like Idaho or something like that, and they wanted to teach like the Bible, like as literature, read the Bible as literature, because who can deny that that's even if you're not religious, that that's important to being like an educated person and to reading other books where they're going, especially older books that are going to be filled with biblical references. And there was a lawsuit that, can we do this, or can we read the Bible in school or not, even if it's secular. And the interesting thing is actually too, in the 1950s or 60s, when they banned prayer in school, like there was actually a special clause that they could read the Bible in the school, but it couldn't be what they call a ceremonial Bible reading. So it had to be basically in the context of literature. So anyway, fast forward, this school, uh, they were they were trying to get that in the curriculum, and there was this huge lawsuit, and they told them that they couldn't read the Bible in school, and then the school was shut down. So there you go. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of like wishful thinking, and also like they can't they can't teach like theology at these schools. Like, so what are they teaching? It's like, Roman paganism. Like what? Like I feel like there has to be like an underlying religion for a school for it to like really be cohesive. And also, like, what perspective is the history books from? I don't know. And then it's like classical. Could that be like Islamic classical, or is it gonna like, obviously you think of like Western classical? That's what people want, but it just seems like it's ripe to be undermined. And I just basically gave two examples on how they did do that. Let's see. Yeah, Catholic schools do well because that's like the original model for schools in general. I mean, they based their schools on like the Greco-Roman schools, or like the Aristotelian method, and adapted it with like Thomism. That's how universities started, and that's what primary and secondary schools, especially in Europe, were modeled after. And then people decided that you were going to have like a secular university, and now people think that the whole point of university is to like go somewhere where you learn how to make money. And that was never supposed to be what a university was in the first place. And I don't even have to say this because everyone knows this, but like the universities by and large are not like, you know, bastions of free thought in any way, or any sort of thought at all. I know my education was kind of a joke. The other thing is funny, like, so my degree was art history, but and we looked at tons of painting, like Renaissance paintings, and most of them are like religious, but like they didn't teach us like what was like, if you don't have like a religion background, or like an understanding of biblical, and also of like Greek mythology and Roman mythology, those are probably the three biggest subjects for paintings, is like Christianity, and that Greek mythology, Roman mythology, whatever kind of mythology. I never read any mythology. I didn't have like a um, background in knowing what any of that stuff was. So like, what were we even doing? Like, we would talk about like, oh, like this, he used pink in this part of the painting to like express, you know, this, and we would talk about like the colors, or like the shapes, or like the style of the painting, but like the content, or like the subject matter, like that wasn't even that wasn't a part of it. And that just seems like so cheapened to me. And it's like that with everything, really. Almost every subject, like, oh, okay, yeah, like let's take Latin class, but this has nothing to do with religion. Like, This has nothing to do with, Roman, whatever. Like, we're just gonna learn Latin. And not, like, actually, I don't know, maybe that was a bad example, because if you are reading, then you would kind of pick up on what was going on, but music is another good example. Like, you're gonna probably, if you're singing like choral music or playing classical music, yes, most of it is religious, and you have no idea what the hell you're singing or playing. It's stupid. Like, you can't just like remove like the underlying culture from the school and like think that it's gonna be the same education, or it's gonna be the same. It doesn't make any sense. Well, okay, I'm arrived at my house, so I'm probably gonna stop rambling. And let's see, what are you guys saying? All right, well, yep, I'm gonna probably delete this in the next couple